Hello to Instagram, hope you guys are all well. I'm super excited and very honored and grateful that we're reading again together, that we're spending time together in this wonderful Sangha. And it's so wonderful to see all of you who are regulars attending each session, because it means that they're having some effect. And I'm just really honored to be able to facilitate them and to be able to try and serve you in this means. So thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. I really appreciate all of you coming in and being present. Even though we had to push things half an hour later, we had some other engagements that I had to be present with, a few meetings that required my attention, and I didn't want to rush those as well. I wanted to try and be present. So thank you so much for being patient with me, for tolerating, and I'm really excited to get started. So once you're in a place where you feel you're ready to listen, be it you're sat in a dedicated space, or if you're doing something else but still ready to listen, drop me a folded hands, prayer hands in the comment section so I know we're good to go. But I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll give a few shout outs to the guys that have just joined us. Rohana, Deborah, thank you so much. Nikhil G, Neil, Truth 108. So good to see Create_Educate. Thank you so much for joining again. Looks like we're ready to go. So I think the best way to start is with a little bit of kirtan while people are tuning in. So we'll chant for maybe 2-3 minutes, and then once we feel that we've got our Sangha together, then we'll do a meditation, and then we'll read from the Bhagavad Gita another beautiful verse. So please join in with the chanting. We'll chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, everyone together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One last time, everyone together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. gratitude. If you know these mantras, please chant with me, and if not, bringing to the forefront of your mind a guru, teacher, guide, someone who's inspired you on the path, and offering your gratitude. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pastitya Deshitarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. So remaining in this meditative state, we'll start with a meditation to bring us into the atmosphere of reading. I'd like you to first start by finding a sacred place where you can join us for this meditation. Maybe sitting before a sacred altar with deities, a murti, or if you have an altar, a sacred space perhaps in your home where you'd like to sit before, just go to that place now. Rolling your shoulders back, opening up your chest, sitting nice and comfortable but tall. Placing your hands, palms up on either of your laps. Meditating now on divinity that comes to mind right now. Perhaps it's a picture of Krishna, perhaps it's a picture of nature, a picture of divinity that comes to mind right now. Take a few deep breaths, bringing your awareness to each inhale and each exhale until your mind becomes calm. Remember, if distracting thoughts or feelings arise, let them go. Focus on your breathing. When you feel centered, calm, and focused, open your eyes and gently gaze at the sacred altar where you sit. Or if you're sitting in nature outside, then have a look at the beautiful nature outside. Appreciate what you see. Appreciate that you are God's eternal servitor. And you'll turn to Him now in prayer, folding your hands together, hearing this mantra. Krishna Tomadahana Yadi Bale Kabar Maya Banda Hoite Krishna Tare Kare Par. my dear Lord, although I have forgotten you for so many long years in this material world, today I am surrendering unto you. I am your sincere and serious servitor. Please engage me in hearing about the transcendental literatures. Take a moment to feel how it brings you into spiritual consciousness. Today we'll read from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text number 7. Before we start, we'll just invoke a mantra of auspiciousness to help us in our focus and memory. So again, folding your hands, and if you know this mantra, please chant with me. We'll chant it 3 times. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So if you have a Bhagavad Gita, then please bring it to chapter number 2, text number 7. And if not, maybe you want to pull your laptop next to you and you can have the verse next to you so you can read along with us. The way in which I like to read with you is we'll read until something strikes us, and then we'll pause for a moment, dissect it. If there are any questions, then please do drop them in the comments. But before we start, wow, so many of you are here. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you all being here and taking time to be with us. Thank you so much from my side, and also from my wife who's sitting on the other side of this camera. We both want to thank you so much for taking time to engage in this activity. Okay, so chapter 2, text 7. Karpanya doshupahata svabhavaha prichami tvam dharma samudacheta yachreyasya nishchitam bruhitan me sisyasteham sadimam tvam prapanam. Translation. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So to give you a background of the context of this verse, the Bhagavad Gita is set on a battlefield, as you can see in this picture. And it's a conversation between Krishna and his friend Arjuna. Now, this battle, we could go into the way in which this battle occurred, or the reasons why they were standing on a battlefield. But what's important to know for us when it comes to just reading this verse is that Arjuna, who's sitting on the chariot here, he sees on the opposite side of the battlefield, on the opposing side, he sees all of his family. He sees his uncles, aunties, teachers, etc. And even though, for whatever reason, some of them are duty-bound to the other side, some of them have actually caused offense and really want to destroy Arjuna's army, the Pandavas. For whatever reason, they are on the other side, and he grows weak at the knees. He feels that how can I engage in hurting my family? How can I be seen as being a righteous person, a just person, standing here about to fight my loved ones, essentially? And so at this point in this verse, he is now turning to Krishna and he says, now I'm confused. Without my duty, now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you, Krishna, tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple, and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So the purport, which is given by the author of the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, you can see it there, it might be backwards, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, he's provided purports to each and every one of these verses, which is kind of going into depth, explaining further the meaning of this verse, the essence of this verse. And this Bhagavad Gita, as it is known across the Western world and even in India as being the authorized scripture translation given by Bhaktivedanta Swami. And so we'll also read his purport. So the purport goes, by nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happens without our desire. So immediately in this verse, we can see there's a theme developing. The theme being that on our own strength, we can't understand the realities of this world. On our own strength, on our own intelligence, we can't understand fully the perplexities of misery, distress, happiness, and the waves that go with it. Anyone who is mature, I'm sure, will come to this conclusion that despite my accolades, despite all the skills that I have in my toolbox, despite me, some of you might be teachers, yoga teachers or yoga instructors, or even some of you might be bhakti practitioners that are also sharing. And you might be thinking also that, yeah, it's true, I needed to learn from someone else. I needed a teacher, I needed a guide, I needed a guru, someone who could show me the way, but also not just show me the way, not someone just that knows the way, but someone that lives the way, someone that is actively practicing what they preach. Today we see so many New Age gurus, New Age teachers, some in robes, some not in robes, some with markings on their forehead, some with no markings on their forehead, some with very long beards, others with no long beards. How to dissect, how to know, how to discern that this person is a real bona fide teacher. Hopefully this verse will tell us. But the principle and the theme that's developing here is very clear, that on our own strength, we can't know everything. And therefore we have to approach someone who does know the way, that is living the way. If you disagree with me, I'd like to hear a question on it. But if you agree, then let's read further. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world's situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. That goes without saying that perplexities in life happen even if we don't want them. They come at us from all angles. We have no control over things that really complicate our life. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. Who is the man in material perplexities? It is he who does not understand the problems of life. In the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 3.8.10, the perplexed man is described as follows. He is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life, as a human, and who thus quits this world like the cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. This human form of life is a most valuable asset for the living entity, who can utilize it for solving the problems of life. Therefore, one who does not utilize this opportunity properly is a miser. On the other hand, there is the Brahmana, who is intelligent enough to utilize this body to solve all the problems of life. So that ends that paragraph. When it comes to solving the problems of life, I'll give you an analogy which very clearly can make it relatable for us. Humankind has succeeded in so many different areas, in even reaching the stars and the moon, even solving how to generate how to create vehicles in which we can get to destinations nowadays, even with electricity and not with petrol. Humans have created so many solutions to quote-unquote problems. A problem is something which is universal. Everyone experiences it, and it's true for everyone. The issue is that the problems that we solve are for things which, in one sense, are just temporary patches. For example, a very crude example is that of deodorant. That we have body odor, but deodorant is not just a once application and the problem is solved eternally and true, but is recurring constantly. And because of that, we have to constantly try and find new solutions for that problem. It's just a temporary patch-up getting us to the next step. The same with all homeopathy. It just solves the issue, but the body itself is not healed, as with Ayurveda, which teaches us to strengthen the body. And so here, this is explaining that one who is intelligent sees that the real problem is not these temporary problems that we have. The real problem is that we don't know who we are. We don't know that we've forgotten who we are. If I were to ask you to point to your nose, point to your eye, point to your mouth, point to your head, point to your shoulder, point to your elbow, point to your head again, point to your nose, and then point to yourself and freeze. Anyone that tried the exercise will either have gone one of two ways, either here or here. I've never seen anyone point at their toes when I say point to yourself. And so instinctively we think something here is us or something here is us. And if I were to ask you to cut out that piece of you and put it on a plate, I won't ask you to, but if I were to, would you say that is you? No, there's something more, there's something deeper. And so most people, when they hear this exercise, are totally perplexed. When you push someone and press them and squeeze them and ask them constantly, but who are you? They'll answer their name. I am Radhika. But who is Radhika? A Bhakti Yogi, someone who is practicing spirituality, someone who is working in property, in his day job. But who is Radhika? And if you press someone and press someone and press someone, eventually there comes a point where they say, do you want me to just say I'm something higher? Do you want me to say that? I'm like, no, but who are you? And generally you'll find people don't know who they are. And that's a scary thought. If we're pressed, do we really know who we are? And if we do know, do we actually act on that platform? Do we act in knowledge of that identity? And most people would say no. And so the real problem that's being distinguished here in this verse is that we don't know who we are. And so how can you understand yourself? Can you understand it through intellect? Can you sit there all day and brainstorm it to understand who you really are? You could sit with your intelligence and say, I'm going to try and understand who I really am. But the ultimate factor to really understand yourself, to really understand your true identity, it has to be given to you by someone who knows it. It needs to be, for example, if you were to ask your mother, who is my father? You could do an intellectual brainstorm, or you could just ask your mother, who's my father? So in the same way, when it comes to understanding deeper things of the soul, when it comes to understanding your true identity, your true purpose, these are things that are explained in the Bhagavad Gita, can only be given by authoritative statement, can only be given by people who are higher and understand themselves having gone through the same process of asking their teachers, of asking their teachers, of asking their teachers. This disciplic succession of knowledge is how we can understand the self, our purpose, our true purpose in life. And so that's why this purport and this verse and the translation have been urging so much, find a spiritual master. Engage in your mind that you have to find someone who can guide you on the path, who knows the path, who lives the path, and can guide you on the path. So I hope that helped. We'll carry on. The miserly persons waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country, etc. In the material conception of life, one is often attached to family life, namely to wife, husband, children, and other members on the basis of skin disease. The Kripana means the miserly person. The miserly person thinks that he is able to protect his family members from death. Or he thinks that his family or society can save him from the verge of death. Such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals, who take care of children also. So this point is there about how can we save ourselves from the inevitable, the D word, death. It's something that we see all around us, but never truly believe it will happen to us. If we did, would we be living in the way that we live? It's a question for you. Would you live in the same way if you knew for certain that this time that you have, this 86,400 seconds that you have in this day, are limited, that you can't get them back? To come to this point of realization that death will come to each and every one of us, unfortunately, and maybe even fortunately, that our time here is limited. To come to realize this, not in theory, but really understand that I will be one day no longer part of this material world or reborn in this material world. To come to that understanding is something which we have to, in one way, practice or transform our consciousness to see not with negativity, but see as something that is imminent. If you knew that you had an exam coming, if you knew that a life event was going to occur soon, wouldn't you prepare for it? Wouldn't you spend time thinking, how can I maturely address the upcoming scheduled event or the upcoming scheduled exam? In the same way, even if you're not a spiritualist, even if you're a materially absorbed person or someone that has no interest in the spiritual life, you also have to address this problem. You also have to address that one day you will no longer live. And so are you living in a way which gives you purpose? Are you living in a way which is in some way or other fulfilling for you? And if not, find it. Life is too short. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it is going to happen for sure. We can all remember where we were when Michael Jackson passed away, when John F. Kennedy passed away. Our parents or even you might be able to remember where you were. And the things that these two deaths have in common, neither of them knew it was going to happen, but for sure it was going to happen. But for sure it was destined that every single human being, no matter whether your name is Brad Pitt or whether your name is Radhika Ranjan, we're all going to die. We're all going to have to go through the final test. And so, do we want to go through that final test not even knowing who we are? Do we want to be going through that final test not even understanding what my true purpose is in life? That's a question for you. And so this is very clearly stating that all of us have to go through this ultimate problem, that we all have to die, we all have to leave this body. There's a nice story which is given of a king and 3 wives. A king is very sick and he goes to ask for his 3 wives to come by his bedside. And so he asked the first wife, will you come with me into the next life? Will you follow me in death? And she replies immediately, no, I'm sorry, I cannot do this. The second wife was asked the same question, will you come with me? And she said, I will come with you all the way to the grave, but then beyond that, I'm sorry, I cannot come. And the third, which is the one wife which he neglected the most, he thought there's no way she will come with him. He asked her, will you come? And she said, of course, 100%. And he said, why? I didn't even pay any attention to you. And she said, well, I'm bound to you. And so the analogy is given that first wife is like our material possessions. It's the first thing that's going to go completely from our lives. Our money, our houses, etc. There's no way we can take that with us. The second, which is taking the king to the grave, is described as being like our family, our friends, our wife, our husband. They'll come with us all the way to the grave, but then beyond that they cannot come with us. And likely they'll divert their attention to somebody else after a few weeks or months even, or even years if they're attached. And the final one, which neither of us or very few of us pay attention to, is the soul. The soul is the one relationship we will always take with us. And so this verse is very clearly explaining the need, the urgency, the importance in which we need to turn towards a spiritual teacher, a guide, a guru, someone that can identify that you are not this body. You are not just these arms, these hands, these legs, these feet, these eyes, this nose, this mouth. This is not you in real identity. You are the soul. You are an eternal being, full of knowledge and full of bliss. Sat Chid Ananda. And this is something which you can't logically deduce. Someone has to have understood it and then be able to share it. And so this is why the guru is important. Angela Sharma asks, how do I identify my true purpose? This is a beautiful question. Your passion is for you, your purpose is for others. Your passion may be loving to cook, learning how to cook, but your purpose is in sharing that with others. This is what is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, that by nature we all actually want to love and to be loved. By nature, that is our core need. We need people to love us, and we need to be able to share love with others. That is our core basic need. And therefore, everyone's purpose lies in fulfilling these two needs. And the only way in which you can share love, which is of genuine benefit, is to serve others. Serve others with your skills, your talents, by purifying them, by offering them to God, to divinity, and then offering them to others with humility and grace. Each and every one of us has been bestowed with a talent, big or small. In fact, no talent is big, no talent is small. People may react or may be touched by someone's service more than another person's service, but that doesn't mean the service is less important. Someone could be sweeping the temple floor, or someone could be giving the lecture in the temple room. But which one is more important? Neither. It's about purifying our own consciousness through the service and offering it with love and genuine devotion to others. And in that way, it can become our purpose. I hope that helps. We'll continue reading. If there are any other questions, please feel free. Such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals, who take care of children also, being intelligent. Arjuna could understand that his affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the causes of his perplexities. Although he could understand that his duty to fight was awaiting him, still on account of miserly weakness he could not discharge his duties. He is therefore asking Lord Krishna, the Supreme Spiritual Master, to make a definite solution. He offers himself to Krishna as a disciple. He wants to stop friendly talks. Talks between the master and disciple are serious, and now Arjuna wants to talk very seriously before the recognized spiritual master. Krishna is therefore the original spiritual master of the science of Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna is the first disciple for understanding the Gita. How Arjuna understands the Bhagavad Gita is stated in the Gita itself, and yet others, scholars, explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to the unborn within Krishna. There is no difference between Krishna's within and without, and one who has no sense of this understanding is the greatest fool in trying to understand Bhagavad Gita. So that final paragraph is sharing about how the distinction is sometimes made between Krishna being God and being a human being that lives and walks amongst us. And which was he? The answer is both. That he was both a person who was here on the planet, but at the same time, he was also the supreme person as described in the Bhagavad Gita. And so this distinction has to be clearly made, because otherwise people who generally don't understand the motives of the Bhagavad Gita will just understand Krishna as being a historical person. But here we can understand that the knowledge that's being given here is of course of a transcendental nature, and therefore the speaker is also transcendental. The question is given here by its_Deepman. Very nice analogy of the king and the third wife. How will one know when they found their soulmate? Well, when it comes to finding relationships, I think the number one principle when it comes to finding someone who is quote unquote your soulmate is finding someone who helps you in your service to others, helps you in your service to divinity, to God. I think that very soon in a relationship we can get bored with the how are yous, the what are you doings, the where are we eating tonight. And to find your soulmate, I think it has exactly to do with that first word, soul. How are you finding someone who will help you to purify your soul, help you to understand your soul on a deeper level? And so I think that's a good place to start. There's of course many things when it comes to finding your soulmate and relationships, and so many advices that I can give. But I think on the very rudimentary and very basic level, start with finding someone who you can serve with, finding someone who you can offer something of genuine help to others with. And you'll find that that relationship will flourish, because it means that your connection is beyond that of the body. There's three things which I learned very recently when it comes to relationships. One is connection and commitment, which is the first one. Final is communication, and the last one is community. And these three things, connection or commitment, communication and community, if you can find a common connection, a common way in which you can contribute to others' lives, then communication is how do you verbalize your communication? Are you listening to the other person when they're speaking, or are you just trying to listen to reply? And community, what is your sangha like? These three things affect a relationship, but I think at the very basic level, to find your soulmate, find someone who you can serve with. And Deborah's asking, how can I help someone see they are losing those precious seconds by not engaging in life, who has lost their way, who doesn't have a spiritual teacher? When it comes to sharing spirituality with others, I think the prime thing which most people forget about is that people don't care what you know until they know that you care. People don't care what you share until they know that you care. It's a very simple principle that when you're trying to help someone to engage in a transcendental way of living, to help them in finding their way, to help them finding a spiritual teacher, the first and foremost thing has to be helping them to at least feel loved, to feel cared for, and genuinely so. If we're trying to just uplift people for the sake of uplifting them, to give yourself an accolade, to give yourself some recognition, some name and fame, it won't work. It will work for a limited period of time, but ultimately sharing with others when there's no genuine care, it can't last. You'll find yourself bored, you'll find yourself unsatisfied, you'll find yourself not really wanting to do the service anymore of uplifting others. But if you really care about the person, that's step number one. Then step number two is finding ways in which you can engage that person mentally and physically so that they can also offer service in a way which is conducive to their way of living. For example, the person that you might be trying to help may be really good at gardening, may be really good at planting beautiful flowers and growing a beautiful garden. So why not offer that as a service to a place which is trying to uplift others? Perhaps in London, the Bhaktivedanta Manor, which has beautiful gardens, engaging them in transcendental service. And in that way, that person will feel purified, satisfied in the heart, and feel immediately connected to something higher than themselves. And so my advice would be, the steps are numerous, but I think step number 1, really care for that person. And step number 2, engage them in something which they feel connected to. And in that way you'll find that they eventually develop, they eventually bloom, continuously giving care, continuously trying to find ways in which they feel engaged. That will help them. So I hope that answers your question, Deborah. I can't see any more questions at the moment, so we're going to continue reading. We'll read just a little bit longer. It's the next verse. Nahi prapasyami mama punavyad yachokam uchoshanam indriyanam avapya bhumav asapatmam riddham rajam suranam pichadipatyam. Translation. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty, like the demigods in heaven. Purport. Although Arjuna was putting forward so many arguments based on knowledge of the principles of religion and moral codes, it appears that he was unable to solve his real problem without the help of the spiritual master. Lord Sri Krishna, he could understand that his so-called knowledge was useless in driving away his problems, which were drying up his whole existence, and it was impossible for him to solve such perplexities without the help of a spiritual master like Lord Krishna. Academic knowledge, scholarship, high positions, etc. are all useless in solving the problems of life. Help can only be given by a spiritual master like Krishna. Therefore, the conclusion is that a spiritual master who is 100% Krishna conscious is the bona fide spiritual master, for he can solve the problems of life. Lord Chaitanya said that one who is spiritual master in the science of Krishna consciousness, regardless of his social position, is the real spiritual master. So there are 2 points that struck me here. One was the way in which to approach a teacher. So in the modern age, it's very common that we approach a teacher with a challenging mood to really see whether that person has any authenticity, whether that person is well situated in the knowledge of spiritual life. But here it's saying that if you really, and I think that's important as well, I don't want to discount that, but here it's explaining that when you do find someone who you feel you can have faith in someone who you feel has conquered or overcome material attachment in some respect, then the next step is to approach them submissively, to try and hear with open hearts, open minds. Because if we get bogged down in trying to challenge all the time a teacher, then actually you can't learn anything. You just get stuck in a false ego. By false ego, you start thinking, I am challenging, I am the person that's going to win this argument. It's all about me in the center. And rather we want to be in a place where we are appreciating that this person has some knowledge and I want to learn from that person. So coming to that person with a submissive mind and heart is the first step when trying to understand deeper knowledge. The second point that struck me here was surrounding, the conclusion is that spiritual master who is 100% Krishna conscious is the bona fide spiritual master. So Krishna conscious means someone of grace all around us. If one is conscious of grace everywhere, of divinity everywhere, that means that everything in that person's vision is also divine. And therefore the person who is situated in that person who is situated in God consciousness is also able to interact with others in that same vision. And that's very much desired. That's very much desired. That we want to be in a place where the person who we have entrusted our faith in guiding us is someone who is also himself, herself, realized in the science and therefore able to guide you in a God-conscious way. So I hope that helps. We're going to pause here because I know we're creeping up on the ending time. But I wanted to see if you had any final questions. Please do drop them in the comment section. And in between, we will just do another small kirtan for maybe 5 minutes or so. But if you have any questions, then please drop them in the comment section. But I think it was quite clear what the message was today. We can summarize some of the points, which is surrounding understanding that we need to find a guide and guru. What are the qualifications of that teacher that we're going to hear from? The importance of understanding the real problem in life, not just the temporary things which are problems for a few moments and then next minute not really a problem. What is the ultimate problem, which is death, and how to conquer death. We spoke about understanding. What else did we speak about, Devi? I'm asking my wife who's sitting here. Accepting as a teacher, and how to listen to that person with compassion as opposed to being challenging. And finally, understanding, we spoke about the qualifications of a teacher as well. So there were some nice topics there of information which I hope were informative for you and interesting. But thank you for all being present, and let's chant for literally 2 or 3 minutes just to close.
Hare
Thank you all so much for chanting with us. I noticed there was one more question, so we'll answer that and then we'll close for the evening. Sanaji has asked, do you feel it's best to have only one guru, teacher or mentor, or is it helpful to have different teachers? Wow, such a great question. So according to the Bhakti tradition, it's understood that we have two types of guru. We have the Siksha Guru and the Diksha Guru. The Siksha Guru can be anyone. It could be a dog in the street. It could be a tree that's waving from side to side. Siksha or instruction can come from anyone, from any place, even someone who's not a spiritualist. And so we should try to see or seek for as many Siksha Gurus as possible, as many teachers in our life as possible. Diksha Guru is someone who is described as being only one person. And Diksha means someone you've given your heart to. And so that person can be of any race, of any creed, providing they have the qualification of being totally absorbed, or in your opinion, absorbed in bhakti, in love of God. And this is someone who is understood as being qualified as being a Diksha Guru. And so we should have both. We should have someone who we turn to that really knows us, that knows our personality, that we can engage with, we can lovingly serve. But then we should also try to seek out some mentors and seek out some guides from everyday life. We can try and seek out, even our partner can be our Siksha Guru. Even our animals, pets can be our Siksha Guru. Not that it's interesting topic, but not that it's advised to have pets because of a certain reason. But yeah, so many different things can be your guru. Siksha Guru can be anywhere. And so both are required. I hope that answers your question, Sanaji. And if not, then feel free to drop me a direct message and I'll try to answer there. But I think that will end our session here for today. It's been a beautiful day full of wonderful Sangha, wonderful association with each and every one of you, especially those of you who are regular attendees of these sessions. I want to sincerely thank you all for being present, for giving your valuable time to being here. I really hope that it was useful. I hope that there was moments of real realization for you there, real moments of reflection and introspection for you. We started with the sun still a little bit out here in London, and now you can see it's gone nice and dark and in a atmospherically moody and meditative room that we're in right now. But yeah, thank you also so much, Sana. Thank you so much, Aisha. Thank you so much, Deborah. Saraswati, Ed, thank you so much for being with us. Priyaji, thank you so much. Bodhicitta, thank you so much. Rahana, Karina, Flourish Life Coach, Aisha, Bharati, thank you so much for being here, for being present, for your wonderful questions. I hope that it was useful for you all as much as it was for me. A lot of gratitude to each and every one of you. And maybe we can close with a gratitude mantra. So placing your hands together in a prayer mudra. And if you know this mantra, please chant it with me. Vancha kalpa tarupyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Thank you all so much. And see you tomorrow for our daily japa at 1 o'clock. And then in the evening, we're going to have I don't know what the session is in the evening yet, but we'll find out tomorrow. I'll look at the schedule and see what's penciled in. If you have any feedback for any of the sessions, if you have any thoughts on something that we could offer that would be of value and you feel that would really inspire you, then please do share that with me in the direct messages. But otherwise, only gratitude, only love for each and every one of you that's been here present in this session, especially this morning, which was a beautiful japa session, and here where we're reading together. I really appreciate you all being here, staying with us, and have a wonderful sleep. If it's just the beginning of your day internationally, then have a wonderful day. And if it's the end, have a wonderful sleep. Good night and sweet dreams. Haribol.